All right, what's going on, guys? It is Wednesday, July 5th. Hope everybody had a good holiday for July 4th and partied it up or stayed home and did things that were actually right and moral. I'm just kidding. But let's get back to it. We got the charts. Last night there was a couple pairs that we went over, and I ended up taking gold for a short buy. EU ended up dropping, EU chief dropped. They all dropped. They all made like the opposite moves and then completely reversed. So it happens. We're going through the NFP week, and I think it's all setting up for Friday. But let's get right to it. Let's get over to what the peaks are for today. Like obviously, there's only one new peak. There are a few pairs I just kind of want to go over. I'm actually going to skim through them because I've been refining a process of a signature trade that I've been backtesting, screenshotting, doing all the analysis on all the time frames and seeing how it lines up for what I look for. So I'm pretty much going to be just looking for those on certain time frames, and then if it presents itself, I'll take it. If it doesn't, I'm going to bypass it. So let us check it out. We got gold for a peak formation high. This is the buy I caught from down here up to the recent peak, the recent high right here. So it was a good 70 pips, and then it tanked there in New York session. So let us check out gold, right? Yeah, so this is one of the setups that I was going over. Don't need this anymore. Don't need that. All right. So the reason I even took it in the first place was because it bounced off of the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA, and it was a peak formation low from 4 days ago. So it maintained the trend line. It maintained everything through. It broke the trend line here, but that's why I kind of took it short, just to the recent high. Now it's dropping back below. It kind of seems like this could have been, there is some hidden divergence here, but the thing is I don't really like it for a buy at the moment. The EMAs are too tight, and my signature trade does not call for entry on trades that have tight EMAs. Right? The tight EMAs gives us the impression that it can go up or down. It's bouncing off this 500 EMA. So I mean, if anything, just because it says peak formation high doesn't mean that I'm actually going to be caring for that one. Let me see the daily real quick. Now I did throw a significant candle on the daily here, massive engulfing one that definitely paints the picture for it wanting to drop. Now if we go to the 4 hour, let me see, I got some support resistance here. So wicked right off of the resistance zone, and there is not another one in sight unless I go down to the 1 hour. Then I'll be able to see specifically if there is anything else. Let me see. There should be something down here. And then right there. All right, so we got some imbalances that it's hitting. It's inside of an imbalance right now, but see how big this push was? They want to fill it up. So my guess is they're going to shoot up to this 1 hour resistance, matching up with that imbalance, matching up with the 50 EMA, and we'll see something like this. So for a stop hunt high, retest, drop. And on top of that too, we had a confirmation for a break of structure. This actually might be a change of character, to be honest. Yep, so see right here, change of character is the key thing for a reversal. Pull back to that zone, which also lines up with, if we do this correctly, I'm going to do my Fibonacci down to here, right? Giving us a 38.2 retracement zone. So this looks ideal. If I was going to place a pending, it would be right on top of this 38.2 or on top of this resistance zone, right? I have a box, and I have specific pivots for it that give me an exact estimate of how I really want to look at it. So previous history shows that this is a very powerful zone. If it does push past it, we got the 50 and the 68 or 61.8. which seems a little bit high for what I'm looking for. It looks like the 38.2 is definitely the most favorite, but in order for this to happen, for my signature trade, at least for a short term, even though it's the tight EMA, so it's not like the most identical, it's not the one I really favor. But if it does favor it and ends up shooting up higher, bounces off these 50 and 200 EMAs and ends up going higher than this peak, then for me, I have a solid guarantee that this is going to be a drop. But if it doesn't meet that requirement, then I'm not touching this pair. 15-minute, let's see. Now the 15-minute is setting up more for that move that I want overall. Now let me get rid of these. I don't care about that. So the hour I showed you, it needs to be a little bit more than a peak here. So that this peak is the 1 hour peak that I showed you it needed to break for hidden divergence, and it's already making its way up past it. So we could see a shot up into the overbought zone to hit that 15 or the 50 EMA here, which it's only the catch up on the 1 hour. So I would honestly want it to go a little bit higher than that to match up here. So if it doesn't match up there, it doesn't go up into that zone, then I'm still not going to touch it. So that's what we're looking for. I would say stop punt high and then a drop overall. If we're going with the peak, the daily still looks good for the drop. So yeah, we're just expect the pullback and drop. And now let me write that down on the board so I can say we are bearish. Overall, we are bearish too on gold because this thing has been dropping for a minute and it needs to keep dropping. Now I need, I'll just put this. So gold for a sell. All right, let's go to EURJPY. Let's check that out. Let's go to the 1 hour and the 4. All right, let me check the daily. So it's breaking through this trend line here, but the thing is that because of the EMAs being tight on this time frame, just because it's breaking that trend line doesn't actually mean it's not a valid trend line. It's just it could actually drop a little bit further and hit this 500 EMA. You notice actually previous history, it wicked off of it here, it wicked off of it here, and the trend line, which is why I went up for those days. It respected it multiple times here and over here, right? It broke it, retested it. So it's a valid entry. It's a valid spot. I don't know if you want to go look at previous history too of how the 500 EMA works. You'll see price reacts on it every single time that it touches it. So the fact that it's touching it now is leading me to believe that this is just a retest, right? It's breaking through, and I want to see it drop a little bit farther to potentially hit a more significant zone that is on the 4 hour mainly for it to be a buy, right? So let's go down to the 4 hour. All right, so right now we're inside of 4 hour support and support right now. It is still inside that trend line, I guess you could say. It's going off of the daily, but the 4 hour is significant, and I think that we could see some sort of ranging motion where it hits this low, creates some sort of W, and shoots up for the night, even though it is a peak formation low, right? So that would be ideal. This is the peak formation low you got 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago. If it doesn't pass this out, if it drops and breaks through here, then this is no longer a peak formation low. This is now a break of structure to continue to pull back, and then we look for that sell. But we're not selling it. It's already too low. We're at a better chance of a buying potential. It's just a matter of identifying the zone so that we can get a perfect spot. So now we have price is a little bit divergent here. It's not my favorite setup for a reversal. I would think that it's not good for anything on there. Let me see if there's any hidden divergence. Nothing that I like. This is honestly a shitty pair right now. So I'm gonna say let's avoid this pair. At least that's what I'm gonna do. I mean, if you're gonna take this pair, like I said, your best bet is to wait for it to get out of this zone that it's in. It's inside of a 4 hour support and 4 hour and one. Is it just a 4 hour support? Yeah, that's 4 hour support. So if it's gonna do any sort of reversal, it needs to drop, throw W, rise, and then as it rises, that 50 EMA is going to be there to hit it. So you need to see a break and then a clean buy. But yeah, that's really what we're going to be looking for. It's pretty simple. Stop on low, buy. If it's still going to maintain it, if it breaks it, then you got to wait. Now let's go with EURJPY. So I've been doing a lot of back testing on this pair, and this pair has been paying out. It's actually been doing really well. I actually have a bunch of screenshots of 4 hour, 1 hour, 15-minute setups for this signature trade that I look for, and it does not disappoint. I can tell you that. It is for peak formation high, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a peak formation high, which is the top of the trend line. It's currently in the middle. I don't like that. I need it to go somewhere else. And based off of what I'm seeing here, it is bouncing off the 800 EMA. But because the EMAs are tight, it doesn't mean shit right now. Let's go to the daily. All right. Yeah, it's maintaining it. I think it's going to go up a little bit higher. There's nothing here telling me that wants to reverse yet. It definitely wants to drop down maybe one more time, or if not, stop on high, then drop. But this thing is going to be overall dropping. 4 hour. Let's see. Too much clutter. So it's been obviously respecting the resistance and support zones. This is a hedging or a ranging motion, right? So remember how I always tell you, buy low, sell high. We'll look at every single time it touches this zone, it drops. Every time it touches this zone, it rises, or if not lower, it rises. So we're currently in a hedge. So it's at the high. Eventually, I would say peak formation, or we get the peak formation high. So I would say stop hunt high and then look for a sell. This is nothing of what I would look for in a setup. Maybe, let me go back to the 4 hour. Maybe there's something there. No. I mean, if it could shoot up higher based off this peak. If it shoots up higher on this 4 hour and closes up into that zone right here, it'll pass this peak, but also it won't be as high as it. That will be the hidden divergence that we look for, but it won't be right off the EMA, so it's not my favorite setup. But if you are going to trade this, wait for it to get into the zone, right? So if I actually go and do this, I'm on the 1 hour now. So it's inside of it right now. That's what I was saying before. So it could do this. Could drop, then you can look for a buy, or the highest probability, right? The higher the time frame, the stronger the support resistance zone. So the fact that that's up here, I would say wait for it to shoot up, just like the reverse of EURJPY. Instead of look for a stop hunt low rise, you're looking for a stop hunt high M formation, and then you look for the drop to continue with the overall ranging motion that it's got. So that's what I would say. Other than that, this isn't my favorite pair. Just be careful with it. Now we got CAD sheaf. This is a peak formation high set 4 days ago. Peak formation high. Okay. This isn't valid anymore. And I don't care about this. Okay. Same thing. It's just consolidating out. I don't like it. I'm just going to say avoid this pair. Just, it's not even worth it. EURJPY. All right, so this pair is playing out the way we wanted it to overall. I said last week that we wanted to see this thing drop, or was it yesterday? It was this week. I'm sorry. It was because today's Wednesday, so it was about Sunday, Monday. We wanted this thing to drop through. It broke the structure. Currently is breaking it as we speak. It didn't just break. I mean, it's there. It's actually a change of character, right? So the fact that that happens, we want to be looking for either a bigger drop down because we have nothing stopping us. There's no 1 hour support. There's no 4 hour support. It's just an open gap. And you know that what that means is when there's an open gap like that, we tend to have big open range of volatility because look how wide these EMAs are. So that's fanned out EMAs that constitutes level 3, aka we're looking for a big reversal pattern. Now it's just a matter of where is it going to do it. So we got the 4 hour resistance zones that it's been maintaining. It's breaking through that water. Your best bet right now is to look for a smaller time frame pullback to go in line, right? So I'm going to be waiting because if this thing does reverse, I'm not missing anything. What's going to end up happening on a 4 hour time frame? Let me delete. Come on. What's going to happen on a 4 hour time frame? This is the signature trade that I always look for. It'll drop, break structure, and it'll come back around as that 50 EMA is coming around. Oh, that was horrible, right? That was horrible too. But you get the point. It'll come around, and as it retests, it'll bounce off of it, bounce off recent broken support, which is now resistance. I can draw the 61.8 retracement or the Fibonacci retracement. It'll pull back into a 38.2 to 61.8. Between those two are the best ones ideally. And then we'll look for the continued breakdown towards recent low, right? So I'm gonna be waiting for that. If this is going to drop, there's no need to get in on it early, but I do believe that this is a peak formation low. I don't think you should be trading the peak formation low right now, guys. If you do, it's counter trend because this is breaking. That is a change of character. So that trend momentum is now gone. So I'm gonna say bearish for EURJPY. I mean, goes against it, but that's my gut. That's what I've been trained to look for. So that's what we're gonna do. Ideally, you want to wait for it to drop a little bit lower and then have this 1 hour 50 EMA drop a little farther too. I want them to cross. So when they cross and pull back and price pulls back into that cross of the 250, woo boy, that is a powerful, powerful indicator. So that's what we're waiting for. Waiting for a stop. Push down low, pull back, entry, drop. Oops. So let's go to GBP USD. 5-day peak formation low. Do I have it here? Do I need to search it? I gotta search it up. Okay. Okay. Broke these trend lines. I don't need this one right now. This one's still valid. So last night for the private group, we had this thing dropping and then overall being a buy. So it did do that. It did drop down for a stop hunt low, hit the 200 EMA on the 1 hour for a New York session reversal, and then come New York session, popped right up. Could have taken it to recent structure here. I don't know if I would have taken it to the top just because of where it's at and how it really wants to drop maybe a little bit more. You could have did recent, trend line here. You could have did recent resistance there. Oh, not trend line. It's like an institutional candle, right? So if I go to the 15-minute, you'll see. So this is actually the institutional candle. It's not a big push up, but it formed a supply and demand zone, which shows you that this area was significant right there. So that's the big push. That's the start of the institutional candle, which would have gotten you, if let's say you took it right here, this point to there, 26 pips. It's a fast moving pair. You were in and out within an hour, hour and a half. Not bad. But let's see. It says it's still a peak formation low, but my mind is telling me it wants to drop. It's been riding this 800 EMA. It's been riding that 500 SMA. So, and it only tested it once. I think it's going to come back down just like EU and retest it one more time. So I'm going to say we're looking for overall drops tonight. I'm not going to be trading this pair. There's nothing here of the setup that I want. Nothing lines up with what I look for. So if you guys are going to trade it, I would expect maybe a push down. You have some divergence here, right? You got a shark fin, overbought, divergence, and I think the Bollinger Bands would also confirm that divergence. And there, yep, touches. So this is going to be a reversal. Let me see any zones. Look how tight these zones are, right? So you have a 1 hour, the green and the red blocks are the 1 hour support resistance, and then you have the blue and the yellow, which is the support resistance for the 4 hour. So right now we're inside of a 4 hour one and on our way to a 1 hour. And if it pushes down, it's going to go into this zone, and that might be what it breaks through. Between there, if it breaks here, if it breaks this low, you guys are going to have a pullback to retest that trend line and shoot its way down to that recent low here. But until then, I would say we're still bearish a little bit. Most likely going to go to this trend line. How you enter on that, that's up to you. I'm not going to be trading this pair. If we go to the 15-minute, I would say stop on high. So it's going down to a support zone and it's inside of a 4 hour one right now. I would say this is a false move down, stop on high, then look for the reversal during New York session. So I'm going to say GU is bearish tonight. You know what? I'm not going to say that because I'm not touching this pair. So we're not going to do that. I'm only going to be writing down pairs I'm pretty confident are going to be moving in that direction. So let's go to GBP CAD. Let's see, CAD, Chief. We had some breaks. Look at that. I had this trend line drawn. I didn't go over this pair last night. but it went up to that trend line and the 4-hour resistance, which is pretty good. Let me just make sure that's correct. Yep. Okay, so let me look at the higher time frames. This is formation low. It's just maintaining this trend line. It's boxing in. So if anything, I'm gonna say this is gonna drop tonight. Just simple technical analysis here. It's not that hard. Now, it is at a point where you don't want to just take it just because. It's not really divergent. It's been going up, but I think it's just getting ready to do some ugly reversal here. And then we can look for the sell. Not really liking it, guys. It's not my favorite. And then if we draw the trend line from here, you can do a intraday trend line, right? So I'm gonna do this. So we have a significant zone there. We're either gonna see it drop down, bounce off of it, continue up, or we're gonna see it drop down, break through it, retest for a drop again. Those are the only options we got. Now, honestly, where it's at, you have a better chance of it dropping first. It could be hidden divergence for a rise if it bounces off that 50 because it did break structure. It's one of the first things I look for. It breaks structure to the upside, pulls back, consolidates. If it consolidates and hits that 50 EMA, this means it'll drop a little bit more. This is the peak for the low right here. And this will be the peak going farther down than that, giving me the hidden divergence I need. And if I draw up my Fibonacci from here up, the movement lines up with the 50 retracement, which out of all the things I've been back testing on USD Chief and a couple other pairs, that 58 or the 50 retracement and the 61.8 retracement are solid. So I'd say this zone is ideal. Now let me draw up the zone. And it probably lines up with an hour. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. So this is exactly what we're looking for. And it lines up with the 4-hour. So ideally, this is the zone we're going for. Zoom in so you guys can not get as cluttered. Right? So we want to see it drop. I want to see it drop to this zone, the 50, 61.8 area for a retest of these peaks, these highs, right? And then once it goes up to there, it'll throw a pattern and we can take a buy to the recent structure. Just got to be careful though, because yeah, that would literally be your take profit. Or you can do another zone if you'd like. This is not going to be a long trade. It's going to be an intraday, but that's if it goes down. Now, because of it being in a trend, technical trap of the I keep losing the words for it. You got the trend lines here and the trend line there. It's stuck in a pattern. This could bypass that, which is why I'm not really comfortable trading right now. But it could bypass everything I just said, retrace and drop down to there because of it just going back and forth, right? And I'll show you. Just look at it. It's right there. It came from up here, drop, bang, boom, boom. And now is it going to continue? We don't know. Hence why I'm very not adamant about taking this trade. We'll see how it plays out. Now let's go to AUDCAD worth it though? That's the question. Four-hour. Okay. I'm seeing some hidden divergence here for a continuation up on the 4-hour, but it's not the sexiest looking thing here. I mean, you did get a break of structure right here. It's not showing it. That's clearly what that is. For whatever reason, it's not showing it. If I go to like a higher time frame, it'll show it. Wow, it's really not going to show it. Interesting. Well, to me, that's what it is. So we're sticking to that. It broke here. Change of character, right? Because you had a lower low, now we got a higher high. following a pullback, more so a consolidation. It is not throwing hidden divergence on the 1 hour. It is on the 4 hour, but it's not the setup that I really like. It's tough to say. AUDCAD. It is a peak formation low, which that I can agree with, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's 5, right? Bounced off that trend line, which is a higher time frame trend line for it to go back up. So it makes sense. It totally makes sense. So I'm gonna say we're bullish on this. Let me go back to the higher time and just see where we're at in this. So if this is true, then this is, so the divergence is here. So you got regular divergence, that lines up. The Bollinger Bands also line up. They're probably going to start going, it could do one more drop to hit these as they start to straighten out, right? Because that's what we want to look for, is a straightened out lines, kind of like this, right? But over here. If so, we could see a drop again, but I don't think that's what it wants to do. It is bouncing off the catch up here. That catch up is solid. It's a little bit off compared to like the 4 hour. Like on the 4 hour, you see how it's riding above the 50 EMA. So you can't see that. All right, so you see how it's riding above the 50 EMA here? It's above it, but on the daily, it's below the catch up. And one thing I've definitely been learning is stick to the higher time frame EMAs. They tend to not disappoint. So I'm going to say that this thing probably wants to drop again. And this is definitely fooling people. So I'm going to say look for a sell. Look for a pullback before it drops. It's consolidating above. I think it wants to extend the push down just one more time. Probably hit a supply and demand zone. Retest the low. Fill in some imbalances based off of this big push here, which most likely what it is. And then as it drops, we'll look for that buy. Now, let me see if it lines up with any support resistance. Here we go. Lines up with this zone right here. So I would say I want to see it drop down to here first. I want to see it drop down to this support zone. And once it hits that support zone, we'll look for a potential buy up. So stop hunt low, rise. We're going to be bullish overall. And I'm going to write that down. Just bullish overall. AUDCAD. Okay. Now let's go to AUDNZD. And there's not a lot of setups. There's so many new peaks need to form, and it's probably just setting up for Friday, but we're gonna try. AUDNZD. Come on. Okay. Feel wild how far this thing dropped, man, ever since we called it from that one day. So we got a lot of support resistance. Bouncing off a 4 hour support right now. A little divergent. We go to the daily. Peak formation high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a peak formation high right off the catch up. That was probably a sell point. Yeah, it actually was. If I go to the 4 hour, there'll probably be a hidden divergence there. Oh yeah. That's some hidden divergence right there from this peak down. Right at the 50. See that shit? Right at the 50. And then tanked. Okay, so what does he want to do now? It's breaking through the 500 SMA. It's looking like it wants to reverse overall. I mean, it's got the peak formation high, but look how fanned out these things are. Oh, this was a perfect inverted or hidden divergence right here. Could have took this for a sell. These are the setups I look for. Breaks down, EMA spread out to continue down. This is too low for me, so I'm going to say that we're going to be looking for overall breakup. I'm gonna be waiting for a buy. This is not my favorite setup, so. Or it's gonna be a break up to here again. If it continues down, like this can continue down actually. Let me draw a trend line. It lines up with the 50. So if it pushes up to here and it's hidden divergence, which most likely it will be, it's going to be based off of this peak, right? So that's right here. It's already higher than it, so it'll push up higher, go up, shark fin off the 50. If I do this, down to the low, and it looks like it'll bounce off the 38.2. It's not bad. 38.2 is, these are the top three. These are my top three. It can push the 786. That depends on where it's at, but the 38.2, the 50, and the 61.8 are prime. So I'm waiting for a stop hunt high, and then I'll be looking for a continued sell. That's if it lines up. So I'm gonna say continued sell on AUDNZD. And if it shoots up and they're still showing signs on a lower time frame that it wants to continue, I won't take the trade. But at the moment, I'm looking for a push up to retest this trend line, retest the 50 EMA, retest the support resistance. Watch, I guarantee if I draw this up, something will line up with it. Yeah, look at that. Oh, so you have the 4-hour resistance mixed with the 1-hour resistance, just adding more validity to that 38.2 zone, which is beautiful, giving us hidden divergence. So if it hits that, I'm probably going to take the trade. I like it. I like this setup a lot. Even though it's still got continuing, it's been continuing down. I don't want to predict the reversal. I'm not that type of person. It doesn't always work out like that. Let me delete these. Delete, delete, delete. All right. This is a trend line here. Right. So if it does break, right? So this is the other option that could happen. It could extend to the 4-hour. So right now, this is the 4-hour catch up, which is the 1-hour 50. Now, if it breaks here and decides to go through this trend line, it's going to go up to this one, which will line up with the 50 EMA on the 4-hour. But if it doesn't, I mean, look what it's doing at. So this 38.2 area also lines up with the 500 SMA. And if you remember listening earlier, that is a significant zone that price always reacts to every time. Every time it hits it, it does something. Look at these wicks, hits, reaction, consolidates, shoots through, comes right back to it, consolidates on it for a day, continues all over, right? So it's clearly a zone. Look at that, right to it, right to it, right on it. It's clear as day that every time price hits this, something happens. And right now it's breaking through it, which just leads me to believe that we are going to see the stop hunt high push up to that 38.2 range, maybe extends it just a little bit more. And then from there, we'll look for a sell. So that's it. I'm pretty confident on that. Let's go to, I'm only going to do a couple more. AUDNZD, or no, I'm sorry. AUDUSD, stupid. So AUDUSD. So what do we got? So we got peak formation low, that's down here. Overall, I mean, look at it, it's bouncing off the 13 EMA and the 50 EMA. There's no sign of it wanting to reverse. If anything, that's just a pullback. All the EMAs are above it right now, so it's clearly a downtrend. If we go to the 4. Now let's check out So it broke this trend line here. Broke here. Clear as day. Got this trend line here. It's too tight. See what I'm saying? Like, look, I have to kind of put these into perspective, but this is, if this is going to drop, I mean, it already broke through this trend line here, and it's got another one down here. It wants to most likely continue to go down. And based on the daily, it definitely looks like it wants to do that. Broke through the 500, bounced off the EMAs already in the 1 hour and the 4 hour. Like, I would say stop hunt high, drop, and this is a peak formation low, but goes just like the other pairs. I don't think this is just a pullback. This is just the overall pullback, guys. The pullback peak. So we're looking for this, and I'll be looking for my hidden divergence. Even though the peak I wanted to go off of is here, it could go off of this one. I could base it off of that or this. So let me draw two different peaks. So we got this one right here, based off of that low. All right, so if it does want to shoot up, it will match up with the 38.2 and the 61.8. Now, if it's based off of this peak right here, then it lines up with the 50 and the 38, the 61.8, right? So all this is telling me, right, is that if this shoots up and takes out this peak and takes out this little area right here, even though it's not as significant, right? So I'm going off of what's most significant. That is a more identifiable peak. That's more of like a continuation, but that's a more identifiable peak, which leads me to believe that this is where we want to place the start of the retracement, giving us that edge of getting to that 50, 61.8 level for it to want to retrace back down to the recent low for easy 1 to 3. Now let me see if there's any. So we got perfect. So we got all that lined up. This whole area is a 4 hour resistance zone. And then we just fine tune it with the 1 hour resistance zone, which lines up directly with our area of entry. And we can take that for a sell. So we're going to be looking for sells on AUDUSD tonight, down to the recent low, or you can take it down to this support zone, up to you. I think it's going to go down there a little bit lower. I think it's going to continue with this short-term trend that we see here. So we got like from here going down, lines up with the EMAs. So that's what I'm looking for. Let me see the 4 hour again. Go to this. Yeah, and it wants to go down to this zone. So I think we're good. That's what we're going to be looking for. All right. And then I'll do one more. Which one do I want to do? Which one's calling to me? Which one's calling to me? Let's go to NZDUSD. Oh, it's the very next pair. That's wild. Okay. Didn't plan on that, but that ended up working out. Daily. Let's go to the daily, and we got a peak formation low 5 days ago, giving us this zone right here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. That's a morning star pattern. That's why it shot up. It is still consolidating though. I'm not. It is retesting too. So it broke that trend line, and look what it's doing. It's retesting it as we speak on the daily. That's lit. Don't care about this one though, because it's not really respecting it. It's off the EMAs, which is cool. The EMAs are tight, which is not cool, but I mean, it is bouncing off that 800 EMA and the 500. So they got the 800 EMA and the 500 SMA giving, and it's going off of recent support, right? So it's bouncing off the zone. Not exactly, but ideally, let's draw this up. So look at that. Bounced off of this last night, shot up, hit support resistance on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, dropped down. It's currently inside of it. I would say I want to shoot back down again, even though it still has to break this zone down here. I think we are going to see it drop. So let's go to the 1 hour. I am seeing hidden divergence though. Right. So this is this trend line zone. If we extend this out even more, that's what it looks like, right? So it's bouncing off that trend line zone. We already have some hidden divergence. If this is the peak, then this is exactly where we want to draw it from here up to there. It's inside of the 50 zone right now. It's bouncing off of the 50 EMA. I mean, this technically does line up with what I look for. The only problem is it isn't a range. It did have a change of character too. That's another confirmation for me. I don't know. This pair looks good for a buy. I think this may have just been the pullback area for us to want to actually find something worthwhile. What are the 15 minutes either to me? So it's inside a imbalance right now. Oh man. What do we see on here? It's all too tight. It's not clear, but at the same time, it's not going against any of the things that I don't look for. Let me go back to the daily. I need to see the overall direction. So it bounced off this trend line. I think it just wants to keep consolidating. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's just making its way back up to that zone. Now it did throw a wick and hit that imbalance, but I think this is going to be a supply zone, right? So when I say supply, this is what it does, right? It shoots up, comes back, and then continues, right? It's like a pullback candle that essentially I look for, but I don't think it's going to, it could consolidate here for a day or two, but I think we're going to see this thing shoot up again to the recent high. And everything is pointing in the direction that I want it to. So I'm going to say we're bullish. I'm going to stick to the bullishness. NZDUSD is bullish. All right. So that's all we're going to be looking for tonight, guys. I'm not going over all the pairs. This is the free content. If you guys enjoyed it, go ahead, join our Discord. The link is in the description. Comment in the public chat, get a free trial, test out all of our stuff, and make some freaking money, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.